everyone, happy Friday. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about sugar addiction, how sugar affects your body, and the things that you can do to work on your sugar addiction. Most of us as humans on this earth, unfortunately, we are over consuming sugar. It's something in our diet that we don't need. Our body doesn't need added sugars, especially to function and work right, and they definitely cause a lot more harm than they do good. So we're going to go over what that harm can look like, the sugar in many different forms that it can come in, and what you can do to reduce your intake and to help fight those and curb those cravings. Okay, first, I'll introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. So my name's Emily. I'm a practitioner here at Thrive, and my goal, hi Cole, my goal is to help as many people as I can with holistic methods and heal the body with whole food supplements, dietary changes, and lifestyle changes. And we do that every day here. So it's something I'm very excited about and eager to help other humans out with. All right, so first we'll go through kind of what sugar is and what it does to the body. So a lot of the sugar that we're consuming in everyday life, if you eat the standard American diet, is going to be like a white refined sugar. What you would consider like a table sugar would be most of the sugar that we're consuming. We're also consuming a lot of chemicalized sugars, a lot of syrups, high fructose corn syrups, those sort of things. A little fun fact, there are actually commonly known 56 different names for sugar. So I have this handy dandy little printout here, and this has those 56 names. I know you can't read it on the video, so we have them printed out here in the office. You're more than welcome to a copy to identify those sugars that you may be consuming. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're working on a sugar addiction or working on reducing your sugar is you want to identify where it's coming from and what foods actually contain it. So knowing the names of those things is very important, obviously. So we obviously have anything that says the name and then sugar at the end is going to be some type of sugar. So like, you know, if you had cane sugar or brown sugar, white sugar, any of that is going to be some type of added sugar. You could have things like lactose or fructose or sucrose. Sucralose technically is a chemicalized sugar. It's not an added sugar on the label, but it is something that's going to be detrimental to your health. Syrups, so rice syrup, high fructose corn syrup, regular corn syrup, all of these are going to be added sugars that can be harmful to our bodies. So first thing you want to do is look at your diet and identify where these sugars are coming from. I just heard the music going in the office, so if you guys can't hear me, please comment and let me know. Okay, so you want to identify those sugars and figure out, okay, how can I reduce them overall? Where am I getting them from? Fun little facts about percentages of sugar. I wrote them down over here. And where we actually get them from in our diet. About 42% of Americans get sugar in their diet from soda pops and from sports drinks. So that's a huge amount, almost half. That's a lot. That's big. A lot of patients that come in and do have an addiction to pop, it's definitely because of the sugar in it. Even the diet pops, even the diet pops, they have a chemical version of sugar, more than likely a sucralose in them, and it's still going to be addictive in that way. And then on top of the sugar, you're going to have the chemicals that it's processed with, so things like aspartame are in there, different MSGs, dyes, additives, all of that is going to be in your processed pops and sodas, so that is what makes them addictive. Sugar is so addictive because it stimulates a happy part of your brain. So like the sensory part of your brain that like is that reward system, that's what sugar is stimulating. So when you're eating sugar, it's like your body gets like that, ooh, you know, like that good feeling. It's what we call that sugar high. Well, that high doesn't last forever, and we know that sugar can give you a quick up, but it also can give you a very quick down. So the fact that you're addicted to it is nothing to be ashamed of. It's literally a mechanism within your body, and it's something that just happens when you're consuming sugar. All right, so the things that sugar can do to the body are a vast amount of things, but we'll kind of cover a few of the big ones that especially that patients come in talking about. So first and foremost, a lot of people associate an excess amount of sugar with weight gain, which is true. So when the body doesn't burn something or use it as fuel, it stores it as fat. And in particular, sugar can be easily stored as fat, and it can stick in the body, and it's a little harder to get rid of. So we want to focus on reducing our sugar intake overall if your focus is on losing weight. Sugar overly or eating sugar too much is also related to heart disease. Obviously, a big one is diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So we're seeing a huge skyrocket in type 2 diabetes. We used to be able to refer to it as adult onset diabetes, but unfortunately now, a lot of times we're seeing younger and younger kids be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because of the lack of diet that they have starting at such a young age. It can even start from if mom is breastfeeding and she has a poor diet, mom's passing on what she's getting to baby, and the sugar issue can start there. You see a lot of times kids processed snacks and foods, all the things that target kids to their brand and to their foods are all extremely processed foods. Tons of chemicals, tons of sugar. You want to be avoiding those. Kids growing up is such a crucial time for them to get the right nutrients that they need so that their body grows appropriately, their brain is growing appropriately, and that they're actually having good function overall with their nervous system and with their body. So feeding your kids the right foods is super important, and avoiding sugar is super important. Even though they're going to make they're gonna make a fuss and they're going to be mad if you don't give them that candy and whatnot. I really recommend getting kids off of sugar as much as possible, because it's better to do it now than to do it later when the repercussions can be a little bit worse because they've been on sugar for that many more years. Okay. Then things like acne can even happen from overeating sugar. This is something personally that happens to me when I eat too much sugar. Immediately I'll break out, in particular weird spot like on my neck. I'll get acne. I don't know, my body just doesn't appreciate too much sugar, especially fruit sugar, and I'll get some spots there. It's kind of like my little, ooh, okay, you need to cut it back. You need to pull back on eating that much sugar. Okay, then another thing that does is it's very, very detrimental to your mental health. So those of us who struggle with anxiety, depression, that sort of things, the up and downs, it's really hard on that aspect of your health. So sugar can give you, like I said earlier, it can give you that quick up, but it also gives you the very quick down. So if you are struggling with something along the lines of mental health, you're going to have a quick up, maybe a little bit of anxiety, and then you're going to have a quick down, which is a little bit maybe of that depression feeling. Over consuming sugar can leave our bodies feeling drained and lacking of energy. And when we lack energy and we're tired, depression is definitely more likely to set on. And when we're too uppity and too high, our anxiety is much more likely to set on. So especially considering that a lot of sugar comes from energy drinks, so you're mixing the caffeine and the sugar, both stimulants, and you're putting them together, and then you're having this huge up, and then you're coming down really hard. So you want to focus on eliminating the sugar, especially in that way, because it's going to help your mental health even out. It's going to help you feel better overall. A personal story, definitely have seen this with myself. If I eat too much sugar, my thyroid really freaks out, and I just kind of hyperactive, and then there's that crash, and it's definitely a low, sad state that you become in because you're tired. So depression and anxiety are more fatigue or hyperness of the body, and the mental health is kind of an off aspect of that. So when you get drained and you get tired, you get in those low moods and you suffer from things like depression. So keeping the sugar out and reduced in your diet is going to help keep your mood and your mental health more stable and more of a straight line instead of those ups and downs. So that's a good thing to do when you're struggling with things like anxiety or depression. And on top of that, we'll get into this more a little bit, but sugar really affects the gut, and the gut is a huge part in mental health. All right, we talked about it draining energy. So, and it can feed things like cancer and different carcinogens. So they've literally know, it's a true fact, medical doctors say it too, that it's a fact that sugar feeds cancer. When they're looking for cancer in the body, the liquid that they use to try to like light up the cancer is literally like a sugar water, because it feeds the cancer. So that's why we cannot stress enough for people who are suffering with cancer or any type of chronic illness that eating sugar is definitely something you have to cut out completely. There's no questions asked. It's gotta go. Even fruit sugar is something that really should go too. Okay, and then we'll get to the immune system, since this time in our lives, we're really focusing on keeping our immune system as well. What sugar can do too is cause inflammation. So inflammation is the root of all disease. So when we suffer from inflammation or a higher level of inflammation, our body is more easily diseased or more susceptible to different sicknesses, illnesses, different chronic things like IBS, migraines, painful menstrual cycles. All of that is definitely something that we all suffer from when we have higher inflammation levels in our body. So we want to work on reducing those inflammation levels, and a part of that is going to be reducing your sugar intake. All right, so let's talk about your immune system a little bit, since this is kind of the focus of the world right now. As you know, those of you who are on nutrition programs, we do our part in supporting your body and its immune system, and all of our patients are just staying well and staying healthy, which is something that we're really proud of. Sorry, tickle in my throat. We really pride ourselves on we're healthcare here. We want to keep everyone well, and so taking care of our immune system is something that we focus on. When you're taking care of your immune system, you want to keep your sugar level low overall, because sugar suppresses the immune system. So what sugar does is it zaps all your nutrients and even the supplements that we give you. If you're eating overconsumption of sugar, you're taking your supplements, really the sugar is totally negating the positive effects that you're supposed to be getting from your supplementation. So you want to focus on eliminating that sugar, and that way you're getting the effects from your supplements that you're taking for a very particular reason. So what you want to do is reduce that intake. You're gonna have less suppression on the immune system. For example, after you eat sugar, your immune system can be suppressed for about up to 72 hours. So that's a pretty long time for your immune system to be suppressed, especially when there's immune things going around at this time. What we want to focus on too is, once we have finished this, the lockdown part of quarantine, and we're re-exposing ourselves back to other human beings, back to other people in larger crowds, our immune systems are going to be a little bit more compromised, because the fact of the matter is that when we are living our everyday lives pre-quarantine, we're exposed to many different humans, and we're exposed to them, and there are bugs. So they're bacterias, they're funguses, they're parasites, they're viruses, all of that. We're exposed to that. And that helps us actually keep our immunity well, and helps keep our immunity built up. So the fact that we have been removed from that environment of exposing ourselves to other people means that our immune systems are a little bit at a deficit right now. We haven't been exposed to other people's bugs and other people's things that they're carrying. So what we want to do is, once all of this lets up, I really highly encourage you to focus on reducing your sugar intake overall, because we want to keep your immune system at its high end versus that low end where you're not exposed to other people, and then on top of that, if you're eating sugar, it's going to be very detrimental to your health. So making sure you're keeping your sugar reduced, getting plenty of fruits and vegetables, good proteins, and good fats is going to be very crucial during this time when we start to reopen businesses and people are exposed to each other again. So you want to keep your immune system in tip-top shape. So again, sugar suppresses the immune system for quite some time. So reducing that overall is going to help you overall stay well and keep your body healthy. All right. That's my TED Talk. Okay, so again, it's not a required nutrient in your diet, so it's not something that's actually more harmful than it is good. So like I said, there's the 56 common names, and then let's talk about the different things that we can do instead of over consuming sugar. So what you want to focus on it's very easy for us as humans to focus on the negative or the bad things that we're doing. What I like to work with patients with and see them focus on more so is, let's look at what you're doing that's good, okay? Because if you can focus on what you can eat, what you're doing that's healthy for your body, you're gonna give yourself much more positive feedback. So sugar addiction is a huge mental battle, and there's no doubt about that. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared for the fact that it is going to be a struggle at first. It might not be easy, and it's a day-by-day thing. I don't ever expect a patient to cut sugar out overnight. It took me a long time to cut sugar out of my diet. It's not an easy thing to do. And I still don't have it completely cut out. I'll slip up and have some chocolate every now and then, but that's okay. So as long as I'm taking care of my body and have good support elsewhere, then that's every once in a while thing is okay to do. So what you want to do is you want to work on looking at those good things. So, okay, you eat your good proteins and your good fats. We'll go over those. You're drinking water, you're exercising, you're doing all these positive things, and you want to continue to do those, and you want to continue to identify those. You don't want to focus on, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't. That's the wrong mentality to have when you're going in to give up something. You obviously want to be aware of those things that you're not going to be able to eat, but also be aware of the things that you can eat instead. So when you're identifying that, this is where, if you're a patient, you know this, where the food log comes into a huge play. So food logs, they can be a total pain in the butt. I know it's annoying to track your food. It's a hassle, yada yada. In perspective of things, it takes you 1 minute to write down each meal per day, and we have 24 hours in the day. So just do it. It's so helpful of a tool for us. It's even helpful for patients. I'll have patients say, I'll be like, yeah, you can graduate from doing your food logs. I'm like, oh, can I still do them? Because they're really helpful. I'm like, yeah, of course, go for it. So bringing in your food log, doing a food log so that we can identify where the sugar's coming from first is super important. So we're gonna do that. And then you're gonna see, okay, how much sugar overall am I consuming? So for example, if you're eating ice cream every night before bed, and that's just your thing, you have a sweet tooth at night and that's what's going on, then you're gonna identify that, okay? You're gonna say, all right, this is where it is coming in. And then from there, you're gonna go, okay, so my goal this week is to only have ice cream 6 times a week before bed, okay? And then you do that for a whole week. There was one night where you didn't have your ice cream. That's awesome. That's a huge step. Even though it's just one day, it's literally a step in the right direction, and you're doing awesome. Then the next week you're gonna identify, okay, this time I'm going to do 5 nights of ice cream instead of 6. And you're gonna keep gradually reducing that. This is gonna be beneficial for you and for your body because of a few reasons. Like we talked about, mentally, it's gonna be easier if you start to wean off of sugar versus cutting it out cold turkey. Second, speaking as a body, physiologically, your body at some point has come dependent on this sugar that you are eating, and it's used to it. If you all of a sudden take sugar out, you're gonna be really grumpy. Your loved ones are gonna be not happy with you because your moods are going to go up and down because your body is making changes, and it's making them quickly because it is not used to this change that you're throwing at it. So as far as your body goes, you want to reduce things at a gradient because it's gonna be easier for your body and for your mental health. So that's the next thing we do. And then a lot of times too, I'll come to patients, and we have plenty of resources here where you can make swaps. So, you can have this brand of XYZ versus eating, Ben and Jerry's. Like, there's definitely options for you to have better ice creams, cookies, cakes, treats, that sort of thing, versus the highly processed versions of those things. And then on top of that, and when you get to a point where you are reducing your sugar, I literally have had patients come in, and I had a patient come in and she's like, so I ate my M&Ms and I took a couple bites of them and I didn't even like them anymore. And I was like, that is such an accomplishment. That is huge. That's what you want. That's what our goal is. Your body is naturally going to start rejecting that stuff once you start eating less of it. I promise you, it does get easier. You just have to get over that hump. But anywho, especially the fact that there are more than just sugar in a lot of those added products. Like I said, there's dyes, chemicals, that sort of thing. Your body is really going to become sensitive to those things, and you're not going to like them eventually. I remember a story from school. This woman, I think, was drinking like 24 cans of pop a day or something extremely excessive. She was obese, struggling with her weight, and just not doing well overall. She literally reduced her pop intake by like sips a day. Not even cans, sips, because that is the gradient she needed to go at, and that is totally fine. Like, seriously, you guys, just go at what is best for you, and you want to reduce it little at a time. And then once you start doing that, then you notice those changes. I believe the story was she got down to like maybe like 5 cans a day at some point, and at that point she was like, I can't even like smell it anymore. I don't want to drink it. I don't want anything to do with it, because her body just started rejecting that, which is exactly what it should do, because that's not anything that the body needs or uses efficiently. All right, so once you've identified it, started reducing it, you can again make those flops for better options as to sweet treats, and then you want to start to also increase your healthy proteins and your healthy fats, because this is going to be really important in keeping your body satiated, keeping yourself feeling full. It's going to help replenish your cells. It's going to help heal your body, heal your gut, and in return you're going to have fewer and fewer cravings. So a lot of times what I'll do is, when patients are coming in, if they're eating a higher carbohydrate or a higher sugar breakfast, that's the first thing that we work on. So when you get up in the morning, getting in good protein and getting in good fat is super essential for feeding the brain. It's also very essential for keeping you full and satiated throughout your day. Unless you're practicing something like intermittent fasting, then that's a different story. But for the normal person who is just eating breakfast each day, then you want to focus on getting good proteins and good fats. So what I mean by that is you want to have things like eggs, bacon, sausage, good sources of all of those. So sourcing is super important. Free range eggs, nitrate free, sugar free bacon, sausage, pork products. If you're the kind of person who can eat whatever they want for breakfast, just focusing on getting a good fat and a good protein is super important. If you don't like breakfast, you hate breakfast, it's the worst thing ever, but you have your morning coffee. We've talked about it before. You can have a bulletproof coffee, or fat coffee is what we call them. You have your coffee, you put some coconut oil, some butter, some collagen in there, mix it up, blend it up. It's delicious, and that gives you good protein and good fat within that coffee if you're not much of a breakfast person. So you want to start with that. In the long run, what this is going to do, this is going to keep your blood sugar from dropping and from spiking. So when we're eating an excess amount of sugar or carbs, what happens is our blood sugar is a lot more likely to go up and down, and that's what causes cravings a lot of times, is the fact that your blood sugar is not staying stable. And again, this is definitely related to diabetes, obviously, close correlation with blood sugar and whatnot. So eating good fats and good proteins is going to help stabilize your blood sugar. It's going to help overall with your ups and downs and your cravings at the end of the day. A lot of times I see a lot of association with helping people with their meals at like breakfast and lunch to help those nighttime cravings, because a lot of times what nighttime cravings come from is the things that you were eating earlier in the day that are making your blood sugar crash. So you want to focus on keeping yourself satiated, keeping your body full of good nutrients so that it doesn't have those cravings for random sugary items. Another reason our body does crave sugar is because it's missing something. So you hear a lot of times, if you're craving chocolate, you have a magnesium deficiency, which can very much so be true. A lot of times we are very, very depleted on our minerals because we don't receive them like we should. So minerals come from the ground and the foods that we get out of the ground. Our topsoil and our soil in general is at such a depletion that we are not getting the minerals that we need to from the soil anymore. So things like magnesium, we're not receiving, calcium, potassium, all of that is not getting put put into our food anymore, and we're not getting it from our diet. So you want to focus on getting that from either supplementation, which is where most people need to get it from, because again, like I said, you can't get it from your diet. So you want to focus on, okay, I'm craving chocolate. What does my body really need? Like, we need to identify that. So after that, you're going to go ahead and, okay, I want chocolate, but maybe I should have this instead or do this instead. And at the end of the day, when you're wanting that, when you're on a nutrition program and you're feeding your body the things that it needs, at the end of the day, you're going to start to notice fewer and fewer cravings for that kinds of stuff. Okay, awesome. So like I said, you want to focus on your good proteins, your good fats. So good proteins are going to be your meats, poultries, fish, eggs, lamb. All of those are really great sources of protein. If you're on more of a vegan, vegetarian diet, just look at your diet, reconsider what you're eating. A lot of times we see a lot of detriment when it comes to vegan and vegetarian diets because the body doesn't actually heal itself fully without animal byproducts. So consider, what you're feeding your body and what it actually needs. And then on top of that, you want to also look at anything like extra that you're doing. So sometimes added sugars can slip into things. Dressings is a huge one, huge one. I forgot about that. So I have people coming in all the time that are like, if sugar keeps showing up, or we're having this problem with their blood sugar, we really have to dig deep and identify where it's coming from and what's going on, because there's something slipping somewhere and we need to figure out what it is. Okay, so identifying that is important. And then getting in essential fatty acids is important. So essential fatty acids and good proteins kind of go hand in hand, because many of our essential fatty acids come from our good proteins. So things like animal byproducts, like beef, you want to get 80% lean, 20% fat. Lamb has a really, really good fat in it. Obviously, fish has a lot of essential fatty acids from the fish oil in the meat itself. And then things like eggs, you're gonna have tons of good fat in there, good cholesterol, all of that. So that's gonna be really important. Fat is important in keeping yourself full. It's important in keeping your energy up. That's gonna be one of those things that once your body starts working and working on burning fat instead of carbohydrates for energy, you're gonna start losing weight. You're going to have a better metabolism. You're gonna have better energy. Life's just gonna be better overall. So keeping those up is really important. Okay. Let's see here. So again, we'll reiterate. So identify where your sugars are coming from. Figure out all the names for them. 56 million of them. Just kidding, just 56. And then identify how frequently you're eating it, and then come up with a plan that's best for you on how to reduce that. So if you're eating it 6 times a week, next week you want to eat 5, 4, 3, and keep reducing that overall. And then when you get to a point where you're comfortable and you feel like you could add in some healthier options for sweet treats, find those out. Come see us. We have plenty of options for you guys when it comes to recipes and recommendations, our favorite sweet treat ideas. You could literally get a homemade ice cream maker and make coconut milk ice cream at home. Delicious. We have a bomb, like literally so amazing chocolate chip cookie recipe that is gluten-free, and it is refined sugar-free. Ooh, that just made me think. I'll tell you guys some different sources of sugar that you can use that would be better than refined sugar. I'm putting it in the back of my mind, I'll get to that. And then you want to, again, so if you want alternative sweet treats, identify those. Then you want to make sure you're focusing on what you can eat. So focusing on eating your good proteins and your good fats is going to be important. Focusing on making those foods tasteful. Everyone's like, oh, healthy eating, so boring. It's really not. I promise. We make really good food around here. It's always smelling nice around lunchtime. So what you want to do is focus on those good things. Getting plenty of vegetables too is going to be really important, because like we said, sometimes that craving or that need for something sweet is actually a mineral deficiency. Getting good healthy minerals from our vegetables is going to be really important, so make sure you're getting plenty of those. And then Let's see, what else? Keeping your water intake up is a really important thing when it comes to keeping your cravings down. So you want to make sure you're getting plenty of water, hydrating your cells, and keeping that up. And then exercise obviously is really important too, keeping your body moving. It's so much easier personally for me to eat better when I'm exercising, because it's like, man, I just busted my butt for an hour. There's no way I'm going to be eating bad, because that was a lot of work. So exercising, keeping yourself moving is important. And if weight loss is one of your goals or something along those lines, then movement is going to be one of the keys to attaining that. Okay, bring it back up. So some alternatives to sugar that you can use instead of using refined sugars. So you can use things like coconut sugar, and I will disclose, okay, coconut sugar, maple syrup, honey. Those are, one second, Rebecca, I will get to your question. Those are all going to still spike your blood sugar because they're still technically added sugars, but the sourcing of them is much, much better than a white refined bleached sugar or brown sugar or a much more processed sugar. So getting a coconut sugar is going to be a better option. That's a good brown sugar replacement. Maple syrup and honey can go in a multitude of things. Personally, I always recommend getting your honey or your maple syrup from a local source, because you want to make sure that it's clean, that there's no added sugars in that, because believe it or not, they add sugar to sugar. I don't know. I have no explanation. But a lot of times honey has high fructose corn syrup in it. So look out, go to your local farmer, also ask them about their bees, and how they're maintained. Do they put antibiotics on them? That sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, Rebecca. Yes, I definitely understand. It is so easy to, when you're exercising, to keep your diet clean. And then when you're not exercising, it's like, oh, that piece of cake on the counter. Also, that's another point. When you have sugar in the house, you're going to eat it. So a really good thing to do is not buy it. So that's something that I like to pass on. People are like, oh, my husband, my kids, blah, blah, blah. Well, get them on board. It's better for them too to not be eating those refined sugars and whatnot. Okay. Again, back to different sugars you can have instead of refined sugars. So you have like your stevias. Stevia is a good option. This would be, it's from a plant. Again, you want to identify at the store. Look at the label, look at the label, look at the label. Because they're even, sorry if you guys can't hear me, it's getting loud. So stevia, they're even adding sugar to that. So check it out. Make sure that it's the right kind and that you're not getting any added sugar from that. Monk fruit is a good one. So monk fruit's getting more and more popular. It's easy to add it to different recipes, other things like that, to sweeten things like coffee, teas. All of that is a good thing to do. In the office, we have liquid stevia that a lot of people enjoy putting into their coffee. And I was just looking up some recipes today, and a few of them actually just called for liquid stevia. There's like a plain liquid stevia. I think we have like vanilla, hazelnut. Those are all really good for coffee additives. And then let's see what else. Swerve. So if any of you have heard of the brand Swerve, Swerve is a really great alternative sugar, and it's going to be considered a sugar alcohol technically. So that's a good option. Swerve actually makes a really, really good cake mix. So just a tip. Like seriously, so good. There's like a chocolate and a vanilla one. They're both delicious. Chocolate's my favorite, but there's not going to be any added sugar in that. You can use things like erythritol. Let me think what else. I already talked about monk fruit, stevia. So those are the big sugar alcohol / sugar alternatives that you can use in different recipes to swap out those things that would have contained refined sugar before. All right, awesome, you guys. Well, I hope everyone learned a little bit, and it's not anything bad to be or ashamed of to be suffering from sugar addiction. I'm pretty sure myself and everyone in the office has been there, done that, and it's definitely an issue in our world today because sugar is in everything. So again, identify it, deal with it, don't be too hard on yourself, and make sure you're giving your body the right things that it needs to build and heal and stay well. And I want to reiterate a couple of things because we've been having some continuous comments and questions in the office. We are open for normal hours. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, normal hours. We're going to be reopening Saturdays here again soon. Every other Saturday, we will let you guys know when that's happening and what's going on with those hours. We are available to get supplements to you guys via mail. You can come in, pick them up, call ahead of time or email ahead of time to come and get those, and we will get them to you. And with the mail, sometimes it's been taking longer than usual just with everything going on, but we are able to get them to you if you are not comfortable with coming to us. We're doing telehealth visits. They're going really successfully. We're helping people over the phone. Our muscle testing is a great tool that we use when you come into the office, but with clinical knowledge and experience, we also are able to help people via telehealth visits. So those have been going well as well. So if you feel like you need to be seen, but you're not comfortable coming into the office, we can do a telehealth visit. All right. Again, it was great to talk to you guys about sugar addiction. I hope you all learned something. If you have questions or comments or need anything from us, please call or email us and let us know. Otherwise, go outside tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful out. Like, seriously, go outside, do something outside, get some sunshine, and make sure you're exercising and moving. All right, everyone, have a great weekend.